Hey everybody, it's Rod with the PhotoFair coming back at you with another video. Today I want to talk about an affordable Leica M mount lens from Leica, which is kind of almost an oxymoron, isn't it? This is the Leica Summicron 40. This was the lens that was made for the Leica CL, and it also fit the Minolta CLE. The CL and CLE were kind of a joint Leica Minolta project in the 1970s. The 40mm lens was used for that, I think in part because Leica didn't want people with M cameras buying the 40 because it was a more affordable lens. It was designed to reach out to people on a little bit more of a budget that still wanted a high quality product. And let me tell you, this lens does deliver good quality. So 40mm on full frame is kind of, it's almost closer to true normal than 50 is. 50 has kind of become the standard for normal lenses. But in reality, normal, generally speaking, if you take the diagonal of your film, that's the focal length that would be normal, not really magnifying nor making wide angle. And 40 is closer to 43 than 50 is. So this is still a normal lens per se. Now, if you use this on a crop camera, like a Canon EOS M, for example, that I shoot, a 1.6 crop, this becomes a 64mm, and it's still, of course, an f2. So 64 is a really weird focal length. It's not quite portrait length, but it's a little bit outside that normal range. So I actually like it on the crop camera. The M5 that I'm using to shoot this video with right now, and I'll tell you why. Rangefinder lenses like this typically only focus to about 2.5 to 3.5 feet minimum. And so the 40, having that little bit of extra reach with the crop factor, kind of compensates for not being able to get in close. And so I am kind of a up-close, tight kind of shooter. So if you're a film shooter and you're going to use this on a Leica film camera, one of the bummers is you're not going to find any M series Leicas with a 40mm frame finder. So that it will default to the 50mm if you use it on an M camera. So you're going to have a little more in the photo than the frame lines give you. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but it will work perfectly on a Leica M camera. If you use this on a Leica CL or a Minolta CLE, which by the way, those are great cameras and you can pick them up pretty reasonably. They're very compact. You use it on those cameras and you'll get the proper frame line. They made a 40 and I believe a 90 was made for those CL and CLEs. Minolta also made a version of this called the Rocore 40mm f2. And there are some people who prefer the Minolta Rocore version. Now, I don't know if that's because, it's more rare, it's sharper, whatever. I can tell you, I own this lens, and this lens is very good optically. Being that this lens was made in the early to mid-1970s, it performs brilliantly. It's a fantastic lens. So, the only bummer about these old rangefinder lenses when you use them on a modern mirrorless camera is they don't focus very close. There are companies that have come out with helicoil focusing adapters that allow, they just have a little extra helicoil so you can kind of push it out a little further to get a little closer, kind of a macro focus, if you will. There is a way around it, but it adds another step to the focus process. Again, using this on my EOS M5 with the crop factor, it tightens it up enough where I kind of don't feel the minimum focus problem like I did when I used to use the 35 Summicron on the EOS M5. So kind of like that. Here's the deal. You can find these in varying condition, of course, anywhere maybe as cheap as $400, and you might spend upwards of $700 for a good example. But that's about half the price of a similar vintage 35 Summicron. And the 35, again, a little bit wider, so on full frame, maybe you prefer 35 to 40. On a crop camera, it's like 56 versus 64mm on the crop camera in terms of how it shoots. So, you know, again, you might prefer the 35, but you're going to pay twice as much for it. I want to just recommend this as kind of the poor man's Leica lens. It's a very good lens. It was not cheaply made. It's just as well made as the M series lenses. The same brass and steel design. The helicoil is smooth. The focus is well damped. All the things you come to expect from Leica still qualifies with this lens. It's just, it was designed for a less expensive camera system. And again, like a purists that shoot the M camera, they don't like the fact that they don't have frame lines for it. So it's kind of an odd duck for your Leica purist types. For somebody that just wants to go out and shoot some vintage Leica glass. I mean, this thing's like driving a Ferrari. I mean, it doesn't matter that you could find a modern lens that's probably every bit as good, maybe even better. That doesn't matter. This is a Leica. It's got all that panache, and you can pick one up for, you know, maybe $500-600. Here's some photos that I took with this lens, both on my EOS R full-frame mirrorless camera and a few taken on the M5 that I'm shooting this video with, so you can see it both crop and uncrop. Take a look. Pretty nice, huh? I mean, this is a great little lens, and it's super tiny. Look how small it is. So I highly recommend getting a hold of one of these if you just want to have that Leica experience and you're not really concerned with, you know, compatibility on the M cameras. Again, it will work on an M, like an M3 or an M6 or an M4. It will work fine. You just won't have the proper frame line for the focal length. You know, that's the only disadvantage. It'll focus perfectly. It'll be great. And then on any mirrorless camera, it's perfect. So, awesome lens. You can find lenses like this at PhotoFair. In fact, I got this at the last PhotoFair last month. You can come to the next PhotoFair in February. Go to camera shows in your area if you don't live on the West Coast. You'll find dealers that have these lenses. You can find them online as well. Great value, great buy. I love it. Leica Summicron 40C. It is an M-mount lens. It was designed for the C-series Leica cameras. So fantastic value proposition from Leica. You just don't hear that every day. That's all I've got today. I hope to see you at the next PhotoFair in February. And until the next video, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.